You are welcome into the programme. Did you see Nevin Maguire's Waterford Christmas last night? It looked absolutely spectacular. All of Waterford looking brilliant. He was based in Faith Leg. That looked very impressive, I have to say. And the whole spice beef thing, I always thought spice beef was something else entirely. Now, the spice beef that was on that show yesterday kind of just looked like a normal piece of beef. But I remember spice beef that was like covered in brown, dusty stuff like cinnamon or something. Does anybody else remember that, or am I thinking of something else entirely? If you let me know on 083 3333 975, you can use WhatsApp if you want. The ways of getting in touch with the programme, 051 846 123. Another thing we're going to be talking about: the fewer toys children have, the more they play. There was an interesting experiment about 20 years ago in Germany, apparently, where they had a kindergarten and they took away all the toys and they took away everything, and they just let the kids interact with each other. And it was interesting to see the results of that. But do kids these days have too many toys? And have you ever found that, you went somewhere without your kids' toys, and how do they amuse themselves? Or did they just not know how to amuse themselves because they didn't have anything? I personally think they have great imaginations, and if they're let to use them, they will be able to do that. And also another Waterford Chamber €50 gift voucher to give away today, because we're all about shopping locally. And the Waterford gift voucher is accepted in over 150 participating businesses, shops, hotels and restaurants in Waterford. So plenty of scope for you. And the vouchers are available in denominations of €10, €25 and €50. And you can give them, you can reward your staff with them and everything. And so I'm going to be giving another €50 voucher away on the programme today before midday, so keep your ears open for the question. But first up this morning, record homeless figures released, and too many people looking at spending Christmas in very bleak circumstances and very bleak prospects for the new year. Well, a motion of no confidence in Housing Minister Eoin Murphy was defeated last night by 56 votes to 53. And our political correspondent Sean Defoe is on the line. Sean, good morning.
Morning, Maria.
Was this just a load of showboating, really? What was the whole point of it?
Yeah, I mean, it was a bit of a political stunt last week when the Social Democrats did decide to put this forward, and that's what all the opposition, and indeed the government parties, have been saying, that it was convenient that they put this out a couple of days before a by-election, 3 by-elections that they were running in the hope of actually getting some purchase with the electorate. Now, it does come on the back of very good reasons. A lot of people very annoyed at the housing situation that was coming up on the doors in the by-elections. To every party, they all felt that housing is probably going to be the big issue in the next general election as well. And the Social Democrats argued last night that they only get private members' time every so often, I think every kind of 4 to 6 months. And by last Wednesday, they had to put in what their motion was, or what they wanted to discuss, and it was this motion of no confidence. But the timing of it was convenient for the government as well, because they were able to say, well, look, do you really want to go to the doors in Christmas? Do you really want a Christmas election? Everybody, this is what this would do. We'll go to the park right after this if you vote no confidence in Eoin Murphy. And I think that did help to corral a couple of independent votes, enough to save his skin at least.
And it seems like, it would be a very wrong time, I think, to spark a general election, considering that the life of this current oil is limited anyway.
Yeah, well, we know this all is not going to last the next 6 months, and I know a lot of people have been predicting that since this all actually started, but now we know it for real. As soon as Brexit is sorted, basically it's game on. And I think there's a lot of people out there who wouldn't be too unhappy if Eoin Murphy was out of office this morning, but I think they wouldn't appreciate it all that much if politicians were knocking to their door on Christmas Eve and throughout the holidays. They were looking at a prospective polling date of December 28th, which, as we all know, is a lovely quiet day when nothing is really happening with everyone in their lives around the country. So I don't think people would have appreciated it, even if a huge amount of people across the country are really annoyed at the housing situation and Fianna Fáil in something of a difficult position, because they have been kicking lumps out of the government for the last month on housing, really, really going gung-ho on it, and then they abstained last night and allowed this housing minister to stay in office. They were very much arguing that, look, we're going to focus on solutions in the little time that we have left. Getting rid of the minister is not going to change things, not going to make life any better over the next few months for people who are struggling because of the housing crisis, and that will be their focus, but it will stick in the craw a little bit. A lot of Fianna Fáil are saying privately they'd have absolutely loved to have supported the motion, given Eoin Murphy a good kick, but they can't because of Brexit and because it would undermine and completely collapse the government.
And he was feisty in his own defence, Eoin Murphy, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was definitely not going quietly into the night or accepting it, even though it is the second time that he's had emotional confidence. And he was the same the first time, very much defending his position. He attacked the opposition, particularly the Social Democrats, saying that, this was stunt politics. They were just looking for headlines leading into a by-election. He said that the government is building more social houses than ever before, even during the boom time, and had a go at Sinn Féin and others who were supporting this motion as well last night, saying, you are claiming you'll do all these things, we're actually going and doing them. And very much the tenor of his argument was that we are 3 years into a 5-year plan, and of course everything's not going to be perfect at the moment, but people are seeing progress, and if you stick through to the plan that they have in rebuilding Ireland, that it will actually work eventually.
And it's kind of a little bit difficult because I think housing has become like the new health. Nobody wants that poison chalice at the moment because it just seems to be impossible to sort. And every time they try and build things, people object all over the shop. So they're between a rock and a hard place, no matter who's in that seat.
Yeah, and that was one of the points that Owen Murphy was making last night. He was raising cases when Roisin Shorthall has raised concerns about development in her own constituency. They're saying it was a little bit of a case of the pot calling the kettle black. And housing is such a tricky one because politicians are, as they objecting to things in their constituencies, while nationally and publicly saying, no, we'll build houses, we'll build absolutely tons of houses. And in some ways, it is a tricky one because they don't go up overnight. Even the modular builds take a while, and we haven't seen a huge amount of them. It does take years to ramp up housing delivery. But it's more than 3 years. It's almost 3.5 years, in fact, since Simon Coveney launched Rebuilding Ireland initially when he was Minister. And people feel it's worse than ever. The homeless figures were out yesterday, just hours before this vote. And again, it showed more homeless people than ever, almost 10 or more than 10,000 people, almost 4,000 children heading into Christmas. So there's a big sense that the government is not delivering. And there was actually quite a funny exchange in the Dáil last night where Shane Castle, Fianna Fáil TD, got up and accused Fine Gael of being in bed with their developer buddies to fix prices, which drew raucous laughs from Sinn Féin of Fianna Fáil TD talking about being in bed with developers. But he very much made the argument, he was like, you have to put Fianna Fáil back in government because whatever else we did, we built houses and we will build them again.
And what do you think the next thing now? Do you think it'll just lurch to the next crisis, or will it just come to a natural end this dawn?
Well, I think the numbers last night are actually really interesting. Micheál Martin's been talking about Easter as the natural end point of the Dáil. The Taoiseach's been talking about May. So they've between them, they've kind of got a roughly agreed time zone, sometime voting maybe the first or second week in May. But I'm not entirely sure we'll get that far, and there's not a huge amount of confidence around the Dáil that we will. If you look at the numbers for last night, so it's 56 against the motion, 53 for the motion, and 35 abstentions. But we have to look a little bit more into that. So the government could only rally 54 votes on his own. Darragh Murphy, who was actually in the Dáil last night for a change, he's going to resign this month, which takes away another vote. And independent TD Thomas Pringle was missing from the Dáil last night because of a previous engagement that he had. So if you straight away factor those into the numbers, and let's say come February there's a motion of no confidence in Simon Harris after a bad winter in the health service, which isn't entirely beyond the realm of possibility, straight away your vote has narrowed from 56-53 to 55-54. So any one of the three independents then that the government has got on side for these votes to decide, actually, you know what, no, I don't fancy this, I'm either going to abstain or I'm going to vote against the government. And the whole thing could come crashing down on a single vote, even with Fianna Fáil abstaining. That's how tight the margin is at the moment. So there's kind of a feeling that there's, for a little while now, there hasn't been a crisis. There was a while where there was a lot of crisis. You had the stuff in France with Georgia, you had cervical check, you had the National Children's Hospital, and now we've gone back to the more long-term crises, if you like, of housing and health that won't be fixed overnight and don't cause the same scandal in one go. But there is a feeling that one more of them, something else to come out maybe about the Children's Hospital or a very, very bad winter on the trolleys, and it could just teeter the entire thing over the edge in February or March.
And none of this is helping all the poor people who have no homes for Christmas.
No, that's
or stuck in hotels or whatever.
Exactly. Not a single bit of legislation was passed last night. Not a single solution was offered, and everyone was talking about all the great solutions they're offering and not taking up, but actually nothing will get done. So it was a bit of a hot air shock, to be honest, last night. And actually, even walking from my car over to Leinster House this morning, I saw a homeless man sleeping in a doorway wearing a Santa hat, which is one of the saddest things I've seen in a long time, and kind of does show you the personal side of this crisis that I think a lot of politicians miss when they're in the bubble of pretending to try to solve it.
Sean, thanks very much for talking to me.
Thanks, Maria.
OK, let's be having you What do you think of that decision that was taken last night? Do you think it was the right decision? Would you really want politicians calling around to your house and canvassing over Christmas? Would you really want to go out and vote on the 28th of December? Do you think it was the right decision? Obviously, everybody wants to do something, excuse me, about the homeless situation. But what did you think of that whole motion last night? The motion of no confidence in him, the reasons why it was brought, the reason that it was defeated. Let's have your thoughts on it, please, on 083 3333 975. And would you have liked to have had a general election, Spart? Because that's what the nub of this is as well, as dealing with the homeless situation. You would have had a general election. Is that what you want in the coming weeks coming up to Christmas and on the 28th of December? Let's be having you. 083 3333 975 is how you get in touch with the programme. I was talking about spice beef and saying my memories of spice beef were something different than what I saw on Nevin Maguire's Waterford Christmas programme last night. It's the first, incidentally, of those. There's another one on next week. And Mags was in touch to say, I think cinnamon is one of the main ingredients of spice beef, as they mentioned last night. So maybe the ones I used to see, I don't know why I'm even talking about it, because my dad used to make it. I don't know why, I don't know, but he used to make it because he had a butcher shop, and I think maybe it was cinnamon we used to be covered in, but it didn't look like what I saw last night anyway. But Mag says, I think Nevin could have given a little bit more coverage to the area, and felt he might have been in the kitchen in Dublin. Couldn't really see where he was or what he was doing. GIY got another nice shot at the front, but Faith Legg didn't. But my God, the one shot of Faith Legg was absolutely superb. But I suppose at the end of the day, first of all, it's the first one of two programmes. He's going to be back again. He's going to talk to people about Waterford food, which has got such a good reputation. I thought the programme was really, really good. But let me know what you think. 083 3333 975 or 051 846 123. I will be back with more for you after these. You are welcome back to the programme. I'm joined in studio now by somebody who is linked in a way, and one of the people who are trying to do something about it rather than just showboating in the Dáil about scoring points for political parties. Sue Larkin is a grassroots campaigner and with Helping Hand on the homeless protest. No, you're not.
Hi, Maria. We were hoping to have somebody from Helping Hand here. Okay. I actually don't work with Helping Hand. I'm just
I'm an
activist who. Okay. My speciality is organising stuff, so This is what I'm doing.
So this is going to be a protest that's taking place at 5:00 on Thursday in Waterford.
Yeah,
it's just ordinary people just wanting to try to do something to highlight this.
That's exactly it. It's on Thursday, as you say, in John Roberts Square at 5 p.m. And it grew from a Facebook group that started out in Dublin that now has 70,000 members. And it was simply protest against homelessness, more action, less talk, kind of. And people hopped on it. And it was from the start ordinary people. A grassroots protest, no political parties, no actual homeless charities, because there was a perception by some of those people in Dublin that some of the large charities have a vested interest in keeping the homeless industry going. So I know
I'd like to think that they'd like to see themselves out of a job, to be fair.
Absolutely, and I'm sure 90% of them would, but that's the way where the Dublin page was coming from. So I was waiting to see if somebody would organise one for Waterford, and I waited and nobody did. So I said, right, get off your...
Fair play to you.
Get off your tush.
Someone should do something about that. And
yeah.
But they wait for somebody else to do it, but you decided to be that someone.
Yeah, so I after I realised nobody was going to do it myself, and a couple of friends, Sharon Welch, Lisa Shanahan, got together, had a meeting, and we decided on the 5:00 this Thursday to allow people that work attend, because obviously there's going to be a lot less people in Waterford than Dublin, and in Dublin they're holding it at noon to march on the Dáil. So there was a purpose to holding it at noon. I mean, we wouldn't have been able to attend if we'd organised it for the same time as the Dublin one. So, basically this is very, it's grown out of like the water protest, I think people have reached saturation point. People can't take any more of the way the housing crisis is affecting ordinary people, affecting people's children. You're looking at 50 Waterford families up for eviction on average every week, 1,200 on the housing list on Waterford City Council, and that's excluding the hidden homeless, the people who are living in overcrowded situations in their mothers and fathers' houses with their children. And the hidden homeless, excuse me, I believe are also affected by the poverty brought on by the high rents. So you have the likes of the wonderful Helping Hand feeding people a hot meal every single evening of the week, and they are doing that for people who have absolutely nothing left after they pay their rent, because the rents are so absorbent. And where we have a situation in the country as a whole where the vulture funds are buying up thousands and thousands of properties, and then they're renting them back at the market value, as you would when you're a business. So the only solution that I can see personally is to get back to the model of building social housing, and it's just not happening. There's tiny amounts of social housing as compared with the waiting lists on councils.
Do you think they have the money to do that? The government has the money to do that? I
think if they can find 700 million to pay private landlords through HAP alone, that's discounting other services and benefits for housing. 700 million for HAP alone last year. So that is dead money. It's going to landlords. It's going to corporations that have invested in Irish property, and they're from Canada and the US, and they are taking those profits and not even paying tax on them. So we're actually throwing good money after bad as it is.
Would you do away with the HAP scheme altogether? It seems to me that it's kind of not fit for purpose, though.
In a lot of ways, it's not fit for purpose, but a lot of people wouldn't have a home without it. So it's a very big need. It is a necessity, but it's also ridiculous when you have graphs like, if you look on the social welfare site, the maximum rent for Waterford is €600. I challenge you to find a house with 2 or 3 bedrooms for €600 in Waterford at the moment. And in Dublin, obviously, it's twice that, but you still can't find a house for the maximum rents that they're suggesting.
Now, suppose Owen Murphy had lost the thing and we decided that Sue Larkin was Minister for Housing from today. What's the first thing you would do?
First thing I would do is invest in social housing. Where do they go? Because it seems any time anyone tries to build anything in this country, somebody objects to it. Right. Well, I think that has happened recently. We saw that in the recent past in Waterford, and I think we have to assess need and not want. And if houses are needed in our country, people just have to get over themselves if they don't want it in their backyard.
So would you say, once it's social housing, you don't have the right to object? It's just going there. It's a house. It's not, some kind of slaughterhouse or something. It's just houses for people, and that's what's happening. And just, as you say, suck it up.
Well, I think the process is there, and there's a reason for the planning process, and anybody has the right to object, and that's a good thing. But I think that if all we do is object to progress...
Do you know what annoys me? I don't know if it's still the case or not, but people objecting who don't even live in the area.
Yeah,
I would do away with that in a heartbeat. You're living up in Galway and you're going to decide on what's happening in Waterford now.
That's an anomaly, all right. I mean, that wouldn't seem fair.
That's just nonsense.
But the bottom line is we need social housing in this country, and it's not being built.
Okay, anything else?
I think that would be a very good start. Yeah.
Now you've another hat on you as well today, because your boss very kindly let you come in to chat to us here.
Yeah. I'm currently coordinating a project called the Mukisa Project, and it's an education development and integration project for asylum seekers and refugees. And we run some really lovely courses, and we have a gorgeous group in at the moment, but we are taking a few more participants. If anybody knows or is or has been an asylum seeker or a refugee, we'd love to hear from you. You can contact me through Waterford Area Partnership. Our project comes under Waterford Area Partnership, and we'd love to hear from you by Monday, and we can get you on some lovely courses for up until June 2020.
What kind of
2020,
courses?
sorry.
What kind of courses?
Okay, we we do a human rights course on a Tuesday. We do QQI level 5 IT skills on a Wednesday. We do English support and study skills on a Thursday, and we do a QQI level 5 work experience on a Friday. And we also, we have great fun. We have a lovely group in, and their stories are amazing and they should be heard, and we're going to find a way to tell their stories over the course of the year. And shortly we'll also be starting a QQI level 6 on a Monday. These all take place over mornings, so 9:30 to 12:30 in the morning, and a QQI level 6 is going to be delivered by An Cusáin, the virtual community college, starting in January, and people can come for the level 6 if their English is good enough and just attend the level 6 on a Monday.
That's another thing that I think we're going to have to do differently, because I think I don't think it's fair on communities to just say this is happening. There has to be consultation, and I think the best model is, and I always get the place wrong where it was it Ardmore?
Lismore, I think, was it?
Where they were like bringing in a family and making sure that everybody was, integrated into the community and everybody was welcoming. And I thought that was a great model. It
was beautiful, yeah. But unfortunately, that was just for one family. It was a lovely model. I can't remember the name of the project now off the top of my head either. But that was lovely. There was consultation. People met up and decided to welcome this family in and help them to integrate and feel welcome. So it makes a massive difference, because I think if people knew what immigrants had been through before they got here, people, even to do with the housing
question,
there's been a bit of a what about our own kickback on that.
Because they are linked in a way, or they're certainly the perception.
Well, I find it understandable. Some people are using it as an excuse for racism, which is reprehensible. But I think if people really understood where these immigrants are coming from and could hear their stories personally, it's so easy to go on Facebook and start chiming, what about our own first.
I'm not sure, though, that if I was homeless that I would have that generosity of spirit, because I would wonder why I amn't getting a house or why I amn't getting accommodation. I think that's very human.
Well, yeah, I absolutely agree with you. It is very human, and when there is social housing and when there is a social housing stock, then that question becomes moot. And when you are on a list for social housing, it's given to you according to need. So I personally wouldn't make any difference. You're on the list, and you're given a house according to your need. And
but then there are people that will always be outranked by somebody else. Should it not just be a list and that's it? You're next on the list, and you're next on the list, and you're next on the list.
I can't speak personally. I don't have the experience of looking at the list, but I know there would be things that would put you higher up the list. Say you could have a disabled child, your need would be greater. So, there's various things that move you up the list. And obviously the length of time you've been on it is a massive indicator of where you'd be on the list as well.
Anyway, back to the protest. We went off on a tangent there, but back to the protest on Thursday. Do people meet up, or what's happening?
Yeah, if people could just show up at John Roberts Square at 5 o'clock on Thursday, make a few signs. Myself and Sharon were making signs yesterday. We had fun. So what we're going to do is we're going to meet up at John Roberts Square at 5 p.m. We're going to make our way down to City Hall, and we're going to hand a letter in to Councillor Breda Brennan, who is the municipal mayor at the moment. And we're not going to cause too much disruption. We don't want to pee too many people off when they're on their way home at 5 o'clock. So we're going to hang around a little bit outside City Hall and do a bit of, ask the motorists to get involved rather than hold them up and, honk for homelessness and make a bit of noise with us.
Okay, well, the best of luck with that. And
Thank you very
much for coming in to talk to me. That is Sue Larkin, who is an activist, and that is John Roberts Square, 5 o'clock on Thursday evening. 083 3333 975 for your texts, 051 846 123 for your phone calls. Back after these. You are welcome back to the programme. Bring on a general election, says Lisa. Who will it affect? The politicians will have to bang on the doors over Christmas. It will interfere with their Christmas shopping and celebrations. That vote was shameful last night. More scandal this morning. Staff getting cash prizes to boot patients out of hospital. Shocking. Well, I don't think it's quite like that, but I take your point. We need an election ASAP. But Lisa, the whole point, if you have an election, that's fine. But if you have an election, everything then is stalled. That's the point that people are trying to make. Nothing's going to magically change overnight because there's been an election. Everything then is gone. Everything is stalled. Nothing is done while whoever is all in their new jobs gets to grip with it. And that's part of the problem, I think, as well. What's the big problem with having an election near Christmas? Most people wouldn't have a problem with it, but the government does. 10,000 plus homeless, I think they wouldn't have a problem. But don't forget, you could be one of those people anytime. Shame on the well-paid government, says Dave. That's so true. Any one of us is, what did they say, 1 or 2 paychecks away from being homeless. The government is a complete and utter disgrace, says Kay in Dungarvan. Complete and utter disgrace to the people of Ireland, be it Owen Murphy or any of them sitting in there. Make-believe world and not the reality of what people are going through, be it homelessness, healthcare, the list is endless. The only thing they look after is their salaries and pensions, some of them getting money for nothing. Wake up Ireland, we need to take back control and be heard. I always, you know me, I don't like the system of politics, but I can never think of a viable alternative. But I think when you get to a certain stage and you earn a certain amount of money, in some way you're distanced. You can't really relate to the fact of how big a difference €10 can make to somebody in a week, or that adding another bill, sure, we have to pay for services, so here's another tax. Yeah, that's all jolly fine, but I actually don't have any more money to give for this. It's a nice idea, but I don't have any more money to give to it. And I think that's part of the disconnect that happens when politicians get to a certain, not all of them, but when politicians get to a certain level, that because they just lose the reality of life, I suppose. And, you know, it's hard to know what the solution is, and I'm not going to solve it this morning, but I just think politics as a system whereby your popularity, your keeping your job depends on your popularity. There's no incentive there to make tough decisions, and all the things that goes with that, I don't know. But if anyone else can think of a viable alternative, let me hear from you. 083 3333 975. Now, Darren Sweeney is is the head of community. Oh, I can't speak today. Darren Sweeney is the head of communications with the Consumer Protection Commission. Too many C's. And she's on the line now. Darren, good morning.
Good morning. It happens to me all the time.
I'm not surprised. Now, the reason that I'm talking to you today is I have a couple of things to talk to you about. Just want to get one thing out of the way, first of all, and that is you've issued a warning to consumers in relation to a website directing activities at consumers in Ireland called click.ie.
Yes, we're currently investigating the activities of the site from a consumer protection perspective, as we're concerned about the information that's been provided to consumers on the site. So we're encouraging anybody who is experiencing difficulties with click.ie to contact us so that we can advise them of their rights. So our number on that one is 01402 5555 or through our website, ccpc.ie.
Okay, so just if anyone has any issues with there or they just want to check something out, they can get in touch on that.
Absolutely.
Now, we have this new rules, the new rules that we have about gift vouchers, and I think most consumers know that the rules have changed. But in terms of the businesses, how have the rules changed?
Absolutely. Well, we're at the moment out talking to businesses. It's a very particularly busy time of year for businesses, and the rules started from Monday. So majority of businesses, whether you're a restaurant or a hotel, do provide gift vouchers in some form. So we are out contacting businesses to let them know what they need to look at. So it's looking at your gift voucher terms and conditions. So if currently at the moment you are providing gift vouchers and they've an expiry date of 2 years or 3 years, you now need to change that to at least 5 years at a minimum. And you need to give your customers a written proof of what that expiry date is. So on a piece of paper, so saying what date did the voucher take effect and what date does the customer have on to cash it in. And those are the two big main, I suppose, changes for businesses.
I've never understood how, if a voucher had a cash value, that a business could have decided in the first place that they weren't going to honour it. Like, it's cash. You've had my money for 20 years. I go in with my €20 that, mightn't be worth anything these days, but it's still €20 that you've had for 20 years. I can understand why certain, services or something, you would have a value on that, or you would have a limitation on that. But in terms of something that's a cash value, I don't know how they ever got away with that.
Well, there was nothing before now in terms of rules or laws, so that's why this legislation was brought in. I suppose there's varying degrees. If you're a small business and you've got a lot of vouchers, you don't know when they're going to be cashed in. But either way, I suppose the important thing is that everybody now, if you do offer that gift voucher, you need to be aware of this. And it's probably so it's a big impact in terms of laws for a lot of businesses across the country.
And is it more difficult? Will it make life more difficult for businesses to use vouchers, or easier?
I suppose it depends. Like, some businesses won't have to do anything in terms of what these changes. For others, they may not. As you said yourself, in reality, you've sold X amount of vouchers, so potentially at some point that is. And I suppose the fact that it is limited to 5 years as opposed to whenever, it is a good thing. So I think businesses have the certainty of that time frame, and that's the minimum time frame. But so it hopefully shouldn't have too much of a difference. But consumers ultimately will benefit from it, which is an important part.
And I like the idea that you can use more than one voucher.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. This was something actually it came up through the consultation with our parent department, which I wasn't aware of, that some businesses only allow and curtail it, that you can only use one voucher per transaction. So this means that you can't be limited. And in the same breath as well, too, you can't say you have to use the full amount in one transaction. So business can't say you need to use this entirely to buy as much goods as this. Now, what you do need to give is either cash back or money back on a card, or else another gift voucher if a customer doesn't use the full amount in one transaction.
Mm-hmm. OK, we leave it there. Thanks very much for talking to me, Darren.
Thanks a million.
See you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
That's Darren Sweeney there, Consumer Protection Commission. She's head of communications with them. And I think I hope all of you listened to the programme last week and didn't buy any gift vouchers and gift cards until these new laws came in, because you have an awful lot more protection and an awful lot more ways that you can benefit from the fact that you have a gift card, instead of finding out that you're being charged because you didn't use it, and that they're not honouring it, and it has an expiry date and all of that stuff. Now, this Christmas, as I said earlier, we're all about shopping locally. And Deise today has teamed up with Waterford Chamber to promote the Waterford Gift Voucher, the perfect gift this Christmas. It's accepted in over 150 participating businesses, shops, hotels and restaurants in Waterford. Vouchers are available in denominations of €10, €25 and €50. And you can use them if you're a business owner. You can use them as, a Christmas bonus for your staff. You can purchase Waterford gift vouchers in Tramore Credit Union, the Book Centre and online. And for a full list, all you need of where you can get them, all you need to do is where they're accepted, rather, on how to become a member, then go to waterfordchamber.ie. So we've been doing this quiz on the programme all this week. If you would like to win a €50 voucher, then I have a question for you. In which denominations are the Waterford gift vouchers available? I just said it there. In which denominations are the Waterford gift vouchers available? You can text 083 3333 975 if you fancy winning a €50 Waterford Chamber gift voucher, or you can call 051 846 123, and that is how you get in touch with the programme. You can use WhatsApp, by the way, if you want to enter the competition that way. Nice little €50 that you don't have to spend any money on to get it. Handy. So just tell me which denomination the Waterford gift voucher is available in. Back after these. You are welcome back to the programme. Frankie says, Maria, when Simon Harris had a no confidence vote against him, Fianna Fáil abstained. Now they've done it again with Owen Murphy. What's the point in having them when they abstain when they're needed to vote? I think it's if I was Fianna Fáil, that's exactly what I would do as well, because you're basically just sitting on the fence, and you're not responsible for anything. You're just sitting in the middle. You're not taking part in it. You're not saying that I agree with this or I don't agree with this, and you're doing it because you don't want a general election and you don't want because the natural run of this Dáil hasn't got much further to run. And as I said before, you just put a stall on everything if you have an election now, and it's almost like a knee-jerk reaction for the length of time that's left in this Dáil. And nothing is going to be solved by a general election immediately, and the problem is an immediate one that needs to be sorted. And I think that's fair to say. Councillor Joe Kelly's been on to say, Maria, as a major house building programme takes hold, then HAP is phased out. Over 3 to 4 years, HAP should disappear. Over 10,500 in homelessness this Christmas. A major change of policy is needed. And Councillor John Hearn has been on to say in 2009 the government gave 5.5 billion to landlords. This year it's 13 billion. Some transfer of wealth. How many homes would you build with this money? Excuse me. In Scotland, my niece got a 200,000 loan off the council to buy a house. She pays it back with zero interest and has her own home. Problem solved, says Councillor John Hearn. Do those that are looking for a general election not see that a minister is only the face for a group of civil servants who run the country? Whether it's Owen Murphy, that is the housing minister, or David Cullinan or anyone else, they will be working with the same civil servants, and nothing will change unless huge amounts of money can be found somewhere to come up with a solution to the housing problem or anything else. That will only happen if the money is pulled from some other department like roads, health, education, etc. Do we want that? Even the money that the government refused to draw down from overseas companies tax would only go so far. But I think it's the fact that they can find money when they need to. They have this fantastic magical back of the couch that when they need to stick their hand down it and come up with the money for some reason or another, they can do that. And I think that kind of annoys people as well. Now, my next guest is John Darcy, who's from Strad Bally and from the charity group Surprise, Surprise. You're welcome to the... Which line is he on, Julie? 2. OK, sorry. Sorry about that, people. John Darcy, good morning. Hello? No, he's gone. OK. I'm going to continue on with a few more texts on that while Julie is getting John back there. I was talking about spiced beef earlier on, and my memory of it was a completely different thing. Allspice, somebody says, Maria, your spiced beef was covered in, and it was brown, as you said. The beef last night was more like corned beef. Yeah, it just didn't look like my memory of it. Maybe it's a different type. Maybe that was just my dad's recipe and it was covered in allspice. I didn't know it was. I never tasted it because I hated the smell of it. And I think was with their cloves in there. I can't bear cloves. I actually can't stand cloves. But I don't know what it was. Hi Maria, I think spiced beef is cured in saltpetre. I cooked the spiced beef in a bottle of Guinness and the same measure of water, 4 bay leaves, 2 sticks of cinnamon, star anise and black peppercorns in the slow cooker for 7 hours. Add water as it cools, as it can be salty. Thank you very much, Tracy in Portlaw, who told me that. Now, I should have John Darcy on the line after cutting you off, John. I'm so sorry about that. That was my mistake. Are you there?
Good morning, Maria. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Now, it's good for Waterford at the moment in terms of TV coverage because your Surprise Surprise group are featuring in Nationwide this evening.
Yeah. So the group was founded by Alma Shannon from Dungarvan about 15 months ago. Was the recent recipient of the PPN Awards. So the group basically gives hampers at Christmas to people that have nobody or are living alone. So Alma initially wanted to deliver 30 hampers, but last year she actually delivered 330, and this year's about that again, or a little more. So the idea has snowballed, and as you just said, the group, which has a couple of hundred members now, as in volunteers, will feature on tonight's Nationwide at 7 o'clock.
It's nice to get a bit of, like, to highlight the work that you do as well. It's important because, you know, an awful lot of people are fundraising these days, and it's good to have that little bit of extra highlight to show the work that you do, to show people where the money goes.
Yeah, well, absolutely. And the very good thing about Surprise Surprise is that it's amenable to everybody. You can give €1 towards the group, or you can give €1,000. Whatever one is able to afford, they will accept. So, and like out in the community, like the parish community alert over in Aglish gives a hand. So Mary Curran out in Aglish, she collects donations, and then she gets about 35 hampers to give out to members of the community as an aggregate that don't have anyone at Christmas or live alone. And it's I suppose when she goes out, let's say, or there's many volunteers that go out into the community delivering hampers at Christmas. It's not just about giving out the hamper, it's also the social aspect. Sometimes people don't see people in these rural areas for maybe a couple of days. So it's about sitting down and having a cup of tea or just a chat at the door. And that's the big thing about Surprise, that it's not just focused about money and donations, it's about giving back to the community in so many different facets,
And I think that's a lovely aspect of it, because really, your time costs you nothing to sit,
exactly.
But to sit and have a chat with somebody that you're not just, another name on the list to is absolutely priceless to them, I'd say.
But also, time is a finite resource, and so many people are so busy these days, they forget about people sometimes. And I'm not saying I don't either, of course I do. Sometimes you're just so busy with work and whatever else whatever other commitments you have. So this idea is absolutely excellent. People actually allocate time to do this, and the group is also involved in, say, making aids for people with dementia or kids with autism. So it's growing slowly but surely, and this is something that could be rolled out across the country. I know in July, I think it was, a lady by the name of Mary Gilligan from Cappoquin, she just messaged Alma, the founder of the group, and said, can we come and do a fundraiser fee? So, it's slowly infiltrating out into the wider Waterford area, and that's a good thing. So you'll see, I have a house out in Stradley, so the crew came to my house in Stradley and to Betty and Stephen Tutty's in Abbeyside, and that's where the group showcased the range of stuff that they do for the members of the community, and you will get a good insight into how the group is working. It's a very simple idea. It was initially set out at €1 a week for 8 weeks. A child can even afford that out of their pocket money. And that's the kind of thing that we've seen. Literally everyone from young to old are able to contribute to this and able to help in many, many different ways, which is wonderful,
Alma Shanahan seems to be some woman for one woman.
Oh, Alma is no mean feat, let's put it that way. She's an able leader. Alma had her own trauma. She had an accident about 20 years ago, but she never forgot the need to give to others, which is most important. Sometimes people forget when they have trouble, but Alma has never forgotten it, and it was her idea from the start, and she's kept it true to its origins. It's still what she set it out to be. And on Sunday in Dungarvan, they'll have the group will have what they call the wrap day, where they'll come in 3-4 hours and wrap up these 350 hampers for every member. And so say in Stradley, my mum and Darcy will get an amount of hampers that she will distribute to the people that she feels that may need them this Christmas, and she'll take them, say, the people, volunteers around Dungarvan will take another lot of them. Mary Curlat and Agnes will take another lot of them. So everyone will get their lot and they'll deliver them. So in many hands make life work, and that's what will also be demonstrated by this group, by coming together as a community without any hierarchy. Great things can be actually achieved,
Fair play to all of you, and it's 7:00 tonight nationwide on RTE, isn't it?
Indeed, yeah. 7:00 on RT1 tonight it will be aired. Yes.
Okay. Thanks very much, John. Thanks for talking to me.
No worries, Maria.
See you. Bye-bye. That's bye-bye. John Darcy there from the charity group Surprise, and you can check out that on Nationwide at 7:00 this evening, as we said.